Start your own business? Millions of brothers have turned to eBay to escape the rat race. Become your own boss and get the Power Seller Research ebook. It's a comprehensive, step-by-step guide that explains how to start an eBay business. The website is powersellerresearch.com. Again, that's powersellerresearch.com.
From Los Angeles, it's the Tom Leykis Show. And now, here he is, Tom Leykis.
Thank you for tuning into the Tom Leykis Show. This is where America gets together to talk about the issues you really care about. It's a different kind of a radio talk program. We're the radio talk show that is not hosted by a right-wing wacko or a convicted felon. No! I am your host. Write down our toll-free telephone number. You're going to need it. It's 1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866. This article from the Detroit Free Press was sent in by one of the freaks who listens to us overnight on the radio in Detroit. We appreciate all you freaks, by the way, all of you. Listen to this story. Their affair began on a private jet, taking them to lunch in Lake Tahoe. She was a 22-year-old senior at the University of Michigan, visiting Palm Springs, California. He was 49, twice divorced, and a multimillionaire. On Monday, the end of a nearly 20-year relationship between Margaret Horvath and William Huebner began to play out inside an Oakland County courtroom before Oakland County Circuit Judge Nancy Grant and a jury of 8. Horvath, now 42 and living in Birmingham, Michigan, broke up with Huebner in December 2000. Now she is suing him for breach of contract. Now understand, she broke up with him. She broke up with him, okay? You heard that part of the story. She broke up with him. And now she was suing him for breach of contract, saying he promised her a lifetime of luxury. It will be up to the jury to decide whether she is entitled to anywhere from $27 million to $160 million to maintain the life to which she has become accustomed as Huebner's lover. She is also asking for a Birmingham condominium and a new Lexus LS 400. They're not making those anymore. They're 430s now. Huebner, 69, with homes in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, and Beverly Hills, California, said he promised her nothing. Huebner is the owner of the Fitness USA chain of athletic clubs. Horvath, a tall, thin blonde, took the stand briefly on Monday. She explained her infatuation with Huebner in the early days of their relationship. He asked me lots of questions about myself, said Horvath, who now works as a receptionist for a Southfield-based architectural and engineering firm. He was dazzling to me. I was interested. Not long after the pair met in the summer of 1983, Huebner asked Horvath to move to California and live with him, she said. But she declined and returned to the University of Michigan, where she graduated with degrees in English and political science. Horvath continued to write to Huebner, who disregarded her letters until the spring of 1984, when he invited her again to move in with him. She accepted and began working as his personal assistant, travel agent, and cook. How much is that worth? Now, let's see, a personal assistant. You can get a personal assistant. In Los Angeles, you can get one for $40,000 a year. I'll bet in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, I'll bet you could probably get one for $28,000, $30,000, $32,000. Cook? I would generously say $40,000 a year. Travel agent? Well, I mean, really, how much talent does it take to log on to Expedia and book a couple of plane tickets? Says here, after 2 years together... Yeah, she was his travel agent. After 2 years together, Horvath began to press Huebner, whom she considered her boyfriend, about marriage. But he told her he would never marry again and did not want any more children. Instead, Huebner promised to pay her living and travel expenses and care for her parents, said Horvath's attorney David Mendelsohn. He extended his hand and said, "Let's shake on it," said Mendelsohn, of a conversation between his client and Huebner. He said, "My word is my bond." But Bill Hampton, by the way, she broke up with him. I mean, looks like Mr. Huebner was promised a lifetime of something else in exchange for paying for all this, and then she broke up with him, so he stopped paying, and now he breached his contract. Says here, but Bill Hampton, Huebner's attorney, told the jury that his client promised nothing. In fact, Huebner always told Horvath, quote, "Nothing lasts forever." She enjoyed the life of a queen, Hampton said of Horvath. She lived well and came out of the relationship with far more than when she started. And the beat goes on. All right. Now, we don't know all of the particulars in this case, except we do know that she broke up with him, and now she wants him to keep supporting her even after she broke up with him. What in the world makes a woman think she's entitled to one dime? Because, you see, what he's getting, when he's paying for everything, is he's getting laid. Right? This is a woman who is 27 years younger than him. And he's paying all her expenses and caring for her mother. In exchange, he's getting laid by a younger, presumably hotter chick than a guy that age could normally expect to get. So she breaks up with him. Far as I'm concerned, the arrangement is over. But not in her case. And by the way, and I want to broaden this out for all you broads out there. I want to broaden this out a little bit to ask you the following question. You know, you've heard about these palimony cases in which two people who are not married end up in court because she says he owes me money because we live together as if we were married. And people actually seriously entertain this stuff to the point where there are now not only prenups, there are now pre-relationship agreements that you're supposed to have signed before somebody moves in with you. Do you know about this? There are now prenups for people who are not having nups. These are people who are not getting married. Now, I have a divorce attorney who told me if I move in with anybody to make sure I call him about a pre-relationship agreement before I let anybody move in because they could make claims even though we're not married. Why? Why should anybody expect to get money after a relationship is over and the people are not even married? I mean, we're not talking about child support here. We're talking about, like, the equivalent of vaginamony. Why? Can you tell me? Do women deserve money? Like, if you live with a chick and it goes for a couple of years and then you decide it's not working out and you say, hey, nice knowing you, should she be able to come back at you for money? Why? It doesn't make any sense. We're in such denial in this society. You know, when we're paying your expenses, it's so that we can get you to sleep in our bed every night and ride us like a pony. We don't do that because we're nice guys or because we want to become your local office of the welfare department. We do it because we're getting something in return. And when we stop getting that, why should we continue paying for it? Does it make sense that somebody you live with should be able to come back at you and ask you for money later on? Again, accepting child support, which is a whole separate issue. You'd have to pay child support whether you live with somebody or not. If they got knocked up, you got to pay. That's the law. We're not talking about child support. We're talking about the equivalent of alimony. Some people call it palimony, whatever. Do you think that concept makes any sense at all?
Tom. 1-800-5800-TOM.
I think you're brilliant. I enjoy liking you and I enjoy hating you.
The Tom Leykis Show. On Leykis Show.
1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. Jared on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Tom.
Jared.
First of all, I have to say that you're the man.
Thank you.
Second of all...
How does it feel losing all that weight? And how many times do you hear that joke in a day?
It's all right. It's all right. But this palimony, absolutely ridiculous. How does it make it a court?
Because judges and politicians are generally pussies, and they allow this to go on. I mean, it's outrageous.
It is.
Oh, what is marriage anymore if a woman doesn't have to get married to get her hands on your bank account? It makes no sense.
No sense whatsoever.
No.
The law, it's like the law doesn't have any meaning anymore. And we live in a society that's pathetic. I'm embarrassed to say that I'm an American.
Uh-huh.
And who would you tell me who to vote for, Tom?
Well,
I know you don't like to bring up politics, but I need to know.
I'm voting for John Kerry.
Then I'm voting for John Kerry.
That's who I'm voting for. And by the way, I don't like him. But I really don't like George W. Bush.
Oh, God. I almost left the country. Almost moved to France. Actually, I have friends that left the country since he became the president.
Now, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, what's going on with the FCC now, I think everybody has to make a statement. I agree with Howard Stern. I'm voting for John Kerry. That's it.
I agree. Well, thank you, Tom. Blow me up.
Here you go. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. Sarah on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom. How are you?
Pretty good, Sarah.
I just wanted to give my 2 cents in about that palimony.
Yeah.
I think for women to expect men to give them something is cheap and weak.
Well, that's how women usually are, whether they're in court or not. They expect us to give them something.
Well, I'm married, and basically my money is my money. My husband's money is his money. We have a great relationship that way. I don't expect anything from him. If he gives me a present, that's fine.
You say that now, but what if you find him in bed with somebody he works with?
Then that sucks. We'll get divorced, but I don't want anything.
Really? Well, that's unusual, because most women will try to get their pound of flesh.
I can take care of myself. I don't need him.
Because we wanted 105 pounds of flesh.
The only thing I understand is maybe if you get alimony for a child, but that's it. And I don't have any children specifically for that reason, because I feel that we need to stay married long enough to make sure it's going to work first, and then maybe have children.
Right.
But we've talked about divorce before, and if it happens, it happens, but I don't expect anything from him. And I don't think other women should either, because they should be able to take care of themselves.
Yep, I agree with you.
But I just think that other women that do expect that should rethink their lives and get a job.
I agree with you. I agree with you. For God's sake, you know what? Or get an agreement in writing or something. But I can't believe that somebody would be able to go to court and say, you know what? Even though I'm not servicing you anymore, I deserve to have you support me for the rest of my life. It's unbelievable. Larry on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Tom, king among men.
Thank you.
Honor to talk to you.
It is.
Anyway, usually palimony is kind of crazy, but there are certain really, really rare cases where it kind of makes sense.
There are no cases where it makes sense.
Well, hold on.
I'm going to tell you why, and then you can respond.
Okay.
Here's why there are no cases where it makes sense. You see, what people used to do before palimony is this. If you were dating a woman, or she moved in with you, she would try to pressure you to marry her.
Right.
If you didn't, she either A, wouldn't move in with you, or B, moved out of your house.
Well,
that's it.
True. Yeah.
That's it. That's what marriage is supposed to be for.
You're right.
So if there is no contract, I'm sorry.
You know, but you get these Hollywood types that they're a little weird, and
nobody forces anybody to be in a relationship with anybody.
You're right. But there are cases where you get somebody, they've been living with them for 25 years, they're not married.
Whose fault is that?
They have kids together.
But whose fault? Well, child support, I said, child support is a separate issue.
And, like Mick Jagger and Jerry Hall.
What about?
Well, they've been together for God knows how long. And they had kids together. And he's paying her palimony.
But why should he pay her palimony? I mean, can you imagine what the child support alone is if you're Mick Jagger?
Astronomical.
Yeah, so why should he also pay palimony?
The Brazilian girl he left her for, very good looking.
Well, of course, but the point is, why should he also pay palimony? If he's paying her hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in child support, why should he also pay on top of that?
Because the way the court system interprets it
The court system shouldn't be interpreting this stuff. There should be laws. It should be spelled out. You should not be able to go to court over something like this.
I agree with you. I mean, the article that you read at the beginning is kind of absurd.
I mean, if I'm with a chick and I'm paying her heaven forbid, I'm paying her expenses, and then she breaks up with me.
Yeah.
How dare she come back and say, oh, and by the way, I want you to support me for the rest of my life?
Guess what? If you do that in New York City, or New York State for a year, you're paying palimony.
Well, it's wrong. It's wrong. What is marriage? Why even get married?
Well, I don't know. There are a couple.
And this is another. Here are powerful reasons for men not to move in with women. Powerful reasons.
Right. But I prefaced
Don't ever let her move into your place.
And Tom, I agree with you, but I prefaced it by saying there are very rare cases.
There are no cases
where it makes sense.
There are no cases. It doesn't make sense. You haven't made a case.
What I'm saying...
The fact that Jerry Hall lived with Mick Jagger makes a case. He's paying her hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in child support, but he owes her on top of that. Why does she need even more money? It doesn't make any sense. That's
a relationship that's akin to marriage. He supported her...
It's not akin to marriage. Marriage is a contract. That's like, I have a contract to do this show. Now, wait a minute. If suddenly, the day after the contract is up, I'm coming in here to work... What, am I going to go and say, hey, even though my contract is up, I want to continue to get paid?
If you move in together...
I've come to expect a certain lifestyle. When I do a radio show, I come to expect a certain lifestyle. I get front row seats for sporting events. I go to concerts. I get great tables at restaurants. And I've got all this money. I can travel around the world. You know what? I've become accustomed to this lifestyle. So I say at the end of my contract here, if they tell me not to come to work anymore, I think they should keep paying me for the rest of my life. And you know that's absurd.
I know it's absurd.
But it's exactly what you're proposing for relationships.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
There are a couple of cases where it makes some sense.
But in the Jerry Hall and Mick Jagger case, it doesn't make any sense. That's exactly the kind of case where it doesn't make sense.
Why?
He's paying her hundreds of thousands of dollars a year.
Probably more than that.
Fine. So why should he then, on top of that, be paying alimony?
Well, you know what?
Palimony.
They lived in a relationship.
I don't care. That doesn't tell me why she's entitled to the money. The fact that they were in a relationship. Why?
Why did he support her?
No. Why does he owe it to her to support her now?
Because... I don't know.
See, you don't have an answer. You don't make a case. You just keep repeating the same nonsense over and over. You don't have an answer. It doesn't make any sense for him to support her. Hey, by the way, he was getting all kinds of services before he's not getting now. Why should he pay?
The palimony thing is crazy, but
the point is, you're another pussy male like so many of them. You don't even have an answer. You just think it's fair because women just come to expect us to keep paying and paying and paying. You don't even have a reason. It's just that's the way it is. That's your answer.
No, because when
you tell me why Mick Jagger should pay money on top of child support to Jerry Hall.
When a woman moves in with a man.
Why does she have a right to expect to be paid?
Start your own business? Millions of brothers have turned to eBay to escape the rat race. Become your own boss and get the Power Seller Research ebook. It's a comprehensive, step-by-step guide that explains how to start an eBay business. The website is powersellerresearch.com. Again, that's powersellerresearch.com.
After she's gone,
give up their lives to have, their professional careers to have kids to do homemaking stuff.
By the way, I don't have any evidence other than your word that Mick Jagger's paying palimony to Jerry Hall. I might add. In fact, I thought they were married. That's beside the point. Anyway, Larry, I'm out of time. Thanks for the call.
It's the Tom Leykis Show. This is the Tom Leykis Show.
From Los Angeles at 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number. Yvette on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, Yvette.
I'm a little bit nervous because I'm talking to you.
As well you should be, darling.
Hey, Tom, I have a comment about what Larry said and kind of a question to follow it up.
Yeah.
So, and I agree with you, almost 100%. And I think palimony is ridiculous for the same reasons that alimony is ridiculous. But my situation's a little bit different, and I'm wondering what your opinion is on it.
Uh-huh.
So I've been with my boyfriend for 5 years. We've been living together for 4. And after 1 year living together, we purchased a home.
Right.
See, the thing is that I have really bad credit, but I have a good job. And he has excellent credit and makes about the same money that I do. So together we make a little over $60,000 a year, which, as you can see, singly doesn't leave you very much, with single income. So double income makes a lot of sense for us. But I got a settlement of $30,000 that I gave directly to him because I felt that was something that, it was our family and, it was my contribution to the house. But if we were to break up then, because the house and everything is in his name, then I'd be pretty much screwed out of my $30,000.
Well, then you should have an agreement that states all of this. And by the way, if you want to make a written agreement, I don't object to it. What I object to is when there's no contract and people are going into court and suing anyway.
I agree with you there. I mean, that's ridiculous.
I mean, what does marriage mean? I mean, it devalues and cheapens marriage for the people who do get married.
That's really true, and I totally agree with that. And the reason that we don't get married is because I have 2 kids and I actually get a bigger tax write-off than I would if we were married.
Yeah, but again, so then have an agreement. Spell it out. Why do you object? Why do you object to that idea?
What's that?
Why do you object to the idea of having a contract?
Oh, I don't really object to it.
Why don't you have one?
He's a good Tom Leykis boy, and he absolutely would not make a contract with me because...
Well, here's the thing. If he were a good Tom Leykis student, he would not buy a house with you.
I know, and he would not be with me because I'm a single mom, I know.
Right, so he's not as much of a student as you think.
Well, that...
He may be a listener, but he's certainly not a student.
Well, I hear you there. That's probably true, but... the thing is about having an agreement is how do you make it even then? I mean, when you're talking about a $200,000 home, and then you're talking, his equity and my 30.
Whose fault is it that you've got lousy credit, may I ask?
I'm sorry?
Whose fault is it that you've got lousy credit?
It's totally mine.
Right.
I was young and never did grow up.
Well, that's my point. It's like, this all inures to your benefit.
You think it does?
Of course it does.
No.
You couldn't buy a house on your own. You're buying a house because you've got kids. They're your kids, not his.
Right.
With your salary, you couldn't afford a house even if you had good credit.
Right, and vice versa for him. He couldn't afford the house that we have and the land that we have.
Yeah, but the point is, he could probably buy something a little smaller.
He could. Well,
and he wouldn't need something this big because he doesn't have any kids.
Well, it's not so much the house; it's the property. I mean, we have
whatever. He wouldn't need space for your kids to run around if they weren't there. This is all for you. All right.
Well, I mean, I guess if you look at it that way, I hadn't really looked at it that way.
Well, no woman ever does. Women think they're just entitled to this stuff.
Well, I'm not feeling entitled at all because I feel like I've definitely contributed. I mean, $30,000 is nothing to really sneeze at, and that's cash money.
$30,000 out of how much?
Oh, that was the entire settlement.
Yeah, but how much is the house?
$245.
$245.
Yeah.
So that's less than 1/8 the cost of the house you contribute.
It is, but I also, I've lived there for 3 years, and I do pay, the mortgage and all that too.
You pay half the mortgage?
Well, it's hard to say. What pays half and what, because all my checks are directly deposited into...
Guaranteed you don't pay half, darling, because you're also paying for your kids, which he's also paying for.
Right. So, I guess the way that I look at it is my $30,000 is kind of sort of paying him for less...
The point is, when you're done, he's helping you now. When your relationship is done, why does he owe you money?
He wouldn't owe me money except for my $30,000 that I gave him.
Oh, fine. Yeah, but by the way, you should have I wouldn't just hand over money like that without an agreement.
You're probably right. Because the thing that I was thinking of is that, that $30,000, if I were to use that, to clean up my credit, it would also clean up my credit and give me a nest egg. But instead of doing that, I give it directly to our household.
Wow.
Which is probably really stupid, too.
And by the way, whose credit is being helped by him paying that mortgage every month? His.
Well, it's not mine. Yeah, it's not mine.
And that's what I'm saying. It's his.
Right.
But the thing is, you two should have had a contract.
Right. Well, right now it just kind of looks like a win-win.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, no matter who's paying the mortgage, he could have put your name on the deed.
Even if I have really lousy credit?
On the deed, dear. Not on the mortgage.
On the loan. Oh, on the deed.
Mm-hmm. So maybe he's more of a Leykis student than you think.
Yeah, he probably is. Thank you so much, Tom.
Because I wouldn't put your name on the deed, I'll tell you that. You with your lousy credit, and later on, when I get sick of being around your little crumb crunchers, your little rug rats, and I want to boot your ass out.
They're older, and he does get a every day. So
really?
He's a pretty happy guy.
Yeah, but you know what? There's younger, hotter chicks who'll do the same thing.
That's true.
And as he moves up the salary scale, you know what? He'll have desires.
You think it'd be more than in, like, my best interest than to probably put some kind of an agreement going on?
Well, it would be. I think so. Because, you know what? When we break up, that's when we're on our worst terms, aren't we?
Right, yeah.
I mean, no, you're on great terms now.
Well, see, and the thing is that I love him because he is a very wonderful person. He's a decent.
We're all wonderful persons until you want to break up with us, until we want to break up with you. Then we're not wonderful anymore.
Well, that's true. Well, see, the thing that I worry about is, honestly, is screwing him over in any way. You know, with my credit being so bad, I didn't want my name on anything because I didn't want it to impact, you know, his credit and that sort of thing.
Well, you know what I do in a situation like that? I hire an attorney for an hour, and I sit down and go, how can we structure this?
Yeah.
But you obviously wanted to save a few bucks, didn't think ahead, so you just plowed ahead and did something without the advice of an attorney.
Well, that's true. I didn't even consider getting an attorney.
I tell everybody, I've never lost one penny hiring a good attorney. I've always made money. Always. But people, that's one of the things that people cheap out on. They should cheap out on shoes and purses and go for attorneys because it's much more profitable.
Well, that's true. You're right. Well, give me some things to think about there.
There you go.
All right. Well, thanks, Tom. Can you take me out?
Tell your boyfriend he can thank me. Just send a check to me and thank me for all this wonderful advice I gave you.
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM.
You have got to be like the lowest rung on the evolutionary ladder I've heard in a long time.
Really?
Yeah.
The Tom Leykis Show.
The Tom Leykis Show at 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number. Thank you for tuning in. Michaela on the Tom Leykis Show.
Hey, Tom.
Hey.
You were looking for a reason for palimony and alimony. I got one decent answer for you, and all in all, I don't agree with it. But when there's kids involved and they are paying alimony, and I've known this to happen a couple of times, where all of a sudden the ex now wants the wife to stay home. She's not allowed to get a job, and they want them to stay home with the kids. And, you know,
not allowed. Why would anyone get involved with such a controlling individual?
Oh, I don't know.
And by the way, whose fault is that? And why should the man pay? You know what? If somebody says you're not allowed to get a job, how about you leave?
Well, no, and that's the whole point. It's at the end of the relationship. The relationship's over. It's done. The divorce is in place. And they're saying, okay, this is how much...
But it doesn't matter if he says you're not allowed to work. He can't stop you.
Well, no, I mean, if you're talking about split custody and everything else, yeah, that comes up all the time. You don't have kids. You haven't seen the, you know, the child support hearings and, you know, the custody hearings and all that. I've seen it in action.
What does that have to do with a man? It doesn't matter if a man says you're not allowed to work. It doesn't matter because you are allowed to work, and there's nothing he can do to stop you.
If they see that, then fine. Then at that point is when they're liable to pay.
They shouldn't have to. You know what? It shouldn't matter if the man says that because you don't have to listen.
No, it doesn't matter.
As an attorney once said to me, son, we outlawed slavery in 1865. That's what he said. Just because somebody says you're not allowed to do something doesn't mean you're not allowed to do it.
It doesn't matter. It's an agreeable option. If the
so in other words, you agreed to it. So that's not being told you're not allowed.
No, but that's giving you the reason for the alimony or the palimony. That's the point. That's when
but it is not a legitimate reason.
Because that's your paycheck.
But it is not a legitimate reason. Nobody can force you to do that.
No, at that point, you are agreeing to stay home and take care of the kids. At that point, you are saying, okay, I am not going to go out and I'm not going to continue my career. I am not going to be pulling in a wage to support my home.
Well, you know, in most cases, when you break up with somebody, you are going to be going to work. So why should you be getting alimony?
That's the whole point. You are asking for a reason for the alimony or the palimony.
But you will be. You don't understand. If I'm paying you not to work and I divorce you, then you're going to get a job. When you get a job, why should I pay you anything?
Every month? Why would I do that?
What?
If you're paying me
the thing is, I'm not going to pay you as much as a job, no matter how much I make. Unless I'm like Bill Gates.
Sure. No, on top of child support, sure. You're looking at a couple $100 per kid.
And by the way, we're not even talking about marriage. We're talking about people who are not married. They're not married. Yes, it does matter.
You are one to say it doesn't matter.
It does matter. It does matter. It does matter. If you want to make deals like that with people, get married. Otherwise, why should anybody get married? What does marriage mean anymore? If you as a woman get the same benefits of not being married as if you are married, why would any man get married?
You're saying that the situation is the same. If two people decide to live together and have children for 10, 15 years, whether or not that piece of paper, that
should be, yes, getting married makes all the difference. Yes, that's what marriage is. That's the purpose of marriage.
You're right.
And if a man won't marry you, you shouldn't be having kids with him and living with him. You shouldn't be doing it.
That's still justifying
If you do it, you shouldn't be rewarded for it.
It's not a reward.
It is a reward. It is a benefit. It is an entitlement. You are not entitled to anything. If you want that benefit, you should have to get married to get it.
It doesn't matter.
But then why should anybody get married?
That's the age-old question.
No, well, yeah, and obviously you don't have an answer, do you?
Tom Leykis. Tom. 800-Tom.
People fantasize about 14 and 15 and 16-year-old girls all the time. What are you going to do? Put them all in prison? Put everybody up to a lie detector test? Ask people if they fantasize about the girl across the street when she wears a thong bikini? You're going to put these people in prison? What are you talking about?
Well, where do you draw the line?
I drew the line for you, you idiot. Get off the phone.
The Tom Leykis Show.
The Tom Leykis Show at 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number. Rico on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom. How's it going?
All right, Rico.
It's kind of scary, isn't it? Anything you do anymore, they're coming after you for more and more money.
I keep, again, here's more evidence of why men should not let women move in. Don't let them move in.
Oh, I agree.
Unless you are marrying them, don't let them move in.
It's I'm divorced myself, and it's just because I'm a guy. I got the shaft, that's for sure. A buddy of mine got divorced, and he tried to bring evidence in of a picture of his ex-wife and her oldest daughter from a previous relationship smoking marijuana.
Right.
Big picture, and the judge wouldn't allow it to come in. So it was no big deal. And this is a 16-year-old girl she's out there smoking pot with. So, I mean, you do it on your own time, it's fine, but when you're doing it with your kid, I mean, come on, when do you draw the line? And it's scary because you've got no rights. There are no rights. Women get what they want.
That's exactly right, which is why you shouldn't have one move into your place.
Yeah, I agree, unless you plan on a long-term relationship, and even then you got
No, unless you're going to marry her.
Exactly, that's what I meant.
Because now women want the same rights whether you're married to them or not. Living with them doesn't get you out of the responsibilities anymore.
No, it just gets you more into the responsibilities.
Why do you need to live with a broad? It makes no sense.
Oh, I agree. There's no reason to live with her.
My
You're going to marry him.
God, are we that dependent and desperate as men? We need someone to sleep next to at night. We need mommy sleeping next to us in bed because we're afraid of the dark. Why?
Right, I like the last caller that gave her live-in boyfriend $30,000. Maybe I'll look up with her for a night or two.
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense at all. And I keep telling guys, don't move in. Don't do it.
Hey, you got to find out one way or the other, and obviously it's going to be the hard way.
Tell me.
All right, have a good day.
You too, Rico. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. This is Annette on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello, Tom.
Hello, Annette.
How are you?
Do you care?
Huh?
Never
My
mind.
what?
Oh, please. Just go ahead.
I have to ask you something. I just started listening to you recently, so I'm sort of don't know a whole lot about you. Have you ever been married?
Why, yes.
Because I'm just curious because of where your opinions were coming from.
From experience.
From experience?
Yes.
So you were married?
Yes.
For a long time?
Yes. One of the times, yes.
So you're a burnt man.
Most men have been burnt by women.
You don't think women get burnt by men?
We don't care. The men don't care whether you've been burnt by us.
Obviously, that's probably.
Why do we care? You sound like a bitter old bag yourself.
I'm not bitter at all. I have a very good life.
Mm-hmm.
Have
what's your husband's name, dear?
Jim.
Yeah, and you're married to him and living with him right now?
No, I was married for 18 years.
So, in other words, you don't have a husband, darling?
No, but I have a boyfriend.
Yeah, but does he live with you and pay all your expenses?
No, I pay my own way, thank you.
Good. That's probably because you can't get a man to pay your way.
But yet, when my youngest daughter...
Really hot, attractive, appealing women get men to pay for everything. So when you tell me you pay for everything yourself, that tells me everything I need to know.
Well, let me tell you, Tom, I can send you a picture of myself. I'm 5'4", 120 pounds, and I am very attractive.
Says you.
There.
Says you.
Call up my boyfriend. I'll give you a cell phone number.
Oh, please. Yeah, where is he now?
He's on a business trip.
Probably banging some other broad.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I know you don't think so, dear. You'll find out the hard way.
Well, whatever.
How's business? Is business good for him?
It's doing okay.
Yeah, well, the more money he makes, the hotter, younger chicks he's able to get.
He does okay for himself.
Yeah, well, you know what? There's a trophy wife out there. She's probably about 22, 23 right about now.
And what are they going to bring you, Tom, in life? What are they going to give you? Empty conversation?
Well, believe me, I just want them to shut up and do me.
Obviously, that's all you care about, and that's all you...
That's right. That's all most men care about, sweetheart. Get with the program.
Well, let me tell you something. When I was married to my husband, guess what? He was never interested in sex, Tom.
Yeah, because he was... You know why? Because he was married to you. You had to listen to that mouth, you bitter old broad. Thanks so much for making my day, you bitch.
The Tom Leykis Show.
Start your own business? Millions of brothers have turned to eBay to escape the rat race. Become your own boss and get the Power Seller Research ebook. It's a comprehensive, step-by-step guide that explains how to start an eBay business. The website is powersellerresearch.com. Again, that's powersellerresearch.com.